longtime CNN anchor Bernard Shaw, died at the age of 82. Many of us remember him from covering the Iraq War. He passed away. Last night, I got the terrible news that comedian David Arnold, 54 years old, died as well. No one celebrates death. We mourn those who died. People are mourning Bernard Shaw. But guess what? Bernard Shaw gave an interview with NPR where he said he missed a lot of things in his family because of things that he was covering. And he said it wasn't worth it. So think about it. People are honoring the journalism of Bernard Shaw, but Bernard Shaw said himself, of all things that he missed, it wasn't worth it. So I just want people to have...
You knew him. Why did he say that? Why do you think he said that? Roland?
Easy. I think because I think because when you are, look, as you get older, you reflect on what you missed. Birthdays. Your memories. Mike Wallace was fired from CBS. He was fired. He made a comment. He said "F you" to the new executive producer. He could do that with the previous EP, his old friend Don. Not the new one. Mike Wallace was fired. All the awards, all the accolades, he was fired. Stuck him in a downstairs office, play out his contract. Mike Wallace died in a nursing home of dementia. They put his awards on the walls, hoping he would remember. None of that. I think Bernard Shaw made that comment because he gave up a lot to go cover these things worldwide. And when you get to the end of your life, you actually wish you had more time with your family. Ed Gordon posted this about, and it's very interesting because David Arnold really was like bothered that he did not blow up. He did not experience the highs of the business until literally the last year. And he had been wanting it for a very long time. Here was a conversation that he had on the podcast with Ed Gordon that I think is important, which I think also speaks to what Bernard Shaw had to say. So listen to this.
Yeah.
What's the end of the road? And by that, I know people don't like to think about, particularly when you love what you do, the end, but there is, the end of your driveway, you make it home, you're satisfied. What is that for you?
This is what I will say. Lately, in the last couple of years, with the success that I've had and just what I've had now, I'm learning to stop and start enjoying the things around me that I do have. My daughters are 15 and 17. I try to spend more time with them and really lock in with them because they're, a few years out from going out and to do their own thing. Spend more time in locking in with my wife, trying to do things that I enjoy, right? Because I'm still going to do a sitcom. I'm going to do that. I know that's going to come my way. I don't know how long I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. And then I will get a chance to tour. If I can just tour and people come to see me every time my name goes up on a marquee, that would be cool. But the end for me is being in a place where I'm okay. I've made an incredible living doing what I love to do, which is a blessing because most people do not get a chance to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think the end for me is just being comfortable with the things that I have done and being happy with the fact that I've made a great living and taking care of the people around me. You know what I mean? Doing what I love to do in a way that was even better than I was, raised in some areas.
Well, look, man, I told you when we first talked, I'm a big fan. I appreciate
I was so shocked. I was so shocked. I was like, this ain't.
You can see more of that on Ed Gordon's page. David Arnold, folks, comedian, dead at the age of 54 years old. I mentioned Bernard Shaw, longtime anchor of CNN. Our paths did not cross. We were there at CNN together. I got there in 2007, left in 2013. But I did have an opportunity to meet Bernard Shaw on many occasions. The last 3 years, he and I talked several times. We tried to connect to play golf. Bernie had knee surgery, then he had a serious back issue. We would talk occasionally. He actually crossed my mind 3 weeks ago, and I should have called. Literally just popped into my spirit, and I didn't do so. And like I said, we would talk, and he would man, want to play golf, but he kept having these injuries. He died at the age of 82 of pneumonia, non-COVID. A few years ago, at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, he spoke. And I was sitting in the room when he made this speech. Let me know if y'all have the video. And some may ask, Roland, people may ask, why did I rip CNN when I did? Because part of my deal is, I said, I don't want to wait until I'm 70 years old to speak truth about what happened. When Carol Simpson wrote her book and talked about the racism and the sexism she had to go through, when Bernard Shaw talked about the things that he went through, they were not in real time. So for me, when you talk about those things when you're 70 or 75 years old, they can't be fixed. They can't be fixed. And so I sat in that room and I listened to Bernard Shaw give these words, and I said, you know what? Leave it right there. We're going to pick it up right there. Part of my whole deal is, no. Somebody has to speak truth while it's actually happening. And he said something to white men in that room in 2007 that actually applies today. He was presented his Lifetime Achievement Award by Gwen Ifill. She's no longer with us either. Here's Bernard Shaw speaking to NABJ 15 years ago when he got the Lifetime Achievement Award at our national convention in Las Vegas.
Thank you. Gwen, where are you? Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Tonight you welcome me down your corridor of honor, and I am walking in shoes of humility because before me you have celebrated the finest of the best. Among them, on my mind, my friend, Ed Bradley. Confession. I feel uneasy. And I feel uneasy because praise makes me itch. I want it, I like it, but I can't spoon with it, you know? I refuse to. It's my way of keeping myself honest and remembering my mother's words. You can always be taken down a buttonhole lower. My wifely friend of 33 years, Linda, has lovingly done that from time to time. As mother protector, heart, soul, and conscience of our family. Without them, there would be no me. In all the seriousness of my journalistic life, there's been an impish little boy hidden away but reappearing at signal moments to remind me of life's wonderments, people's goodness, and tomorrow's possibilities. So many times that little boy saved me from becoming embalmed with cynicism and stereotypical thinking and viewing others through and with negative prisms and mirrors. But then and now, there is code red reality. Journalists, hear me tonight. There are some owners in our business, some bosses, parent companies, whose profit fixation and staffing directives and decisions sabotage the public good they profess to serve. They are turning the people's right to know into the people's fight to know. Beyond this ballroom tonight, white males, wake up. Wake up. Globally, you are an island speck in an ocean of color. The reins of power will weaken, and so will your grip, if you do not faithfully and fulsomely support our nation's greatest strength, diversity. If you do not share, you will lose. Diversity. Diversity is not racial, ethnic, or gender encroachment. Diversity is our national survival. To you caught in the middle, stay vigilant. You must stay strong. You must carry on. If not you, who? To you, starting careers, embrace risk. Mold change, making it work for you. Better to walk the plank of change than regret steps not taken. Work hard at working hard. And finally, to you, I say this. Never, never fear truth, but be afraid of missing it. Your goals, your talent, your ethics have lifelong value and are superior to an Emmy, a Peabody, or a Pulitzer won along the way. For this grand moment in life tonight, I thank you. Thank you.
Bernard Shaw dead at the age of 82. Greg, I saw you responding to that. Again, to me, those are the words that need to be spoken on CNN, on the air, not just to media executives, but to all these white men in power in this country.
Well, Roland, that's one of the reasons, thank God, you're not at CNN and you're here in a place that you built. Imagine how Bernard Shaw would have sounded if he could have said that every day on the Black Star Network, or Charmaine Hunter Galt, or Gwen Ifill, or, as he mentioned, Ed Bradley, graduate of Cheney State University, or Max Robinson, for that matter, at that same ABC that Bernie Shaw started at as a young reporter in the 60s after having come out of the Marines. Of course, great Chicagoan Bernard Shaw, who interviewed Martin Luther King, who covered Watergate, who, as you say, became the first chief anchor at CNN, but then did it in a way, and as he's talked about in interview after interview, did it in a way that radiated coolness. And of course, on CNN, they're going to have him talking about Baghdad. Of course, they're going to talk about the Iraq War and how he was cool there. But that's who.
Yeah, they ain't gonna play that speech.
Oh, no, hell no. Of course not. Again, this is the only place. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm sitting there listening, brother, and thinking about that elder and his dignity. And we think about so many of our elders, women and men, and their dignity, giving these pronouncements, these kind of valedictories, these kind of passing it on. We realize when people say, and they'll say it, of course, all the black folk, all the black talking heads in these places will say, we stand on their shoulders. But do you? See, when we look at you, brother, we see someone who truly stands on the shoulder because, as he said, you know, my dream wasn't to be the black at CNN who had to stay cool the whole time, which means at some point early in the 2000s, he retires and said, I'm going to spend this time with my family. It means not having to make that choice because you control the platform. There will never be. We've passed the peak of network news, as you remind us all the time, cable-based news, as you remind us all the time. It is now the streaming universe, and you saw ahead, which means finally that to stand on the shoulders of a Bernard Shaw, to stand on the shoulders of an Ed Bradley or Gwen Ifill or Max Robinson or Charmaine Hunter Galt and so many others, to stand on their shoulders means literally to say, we are going to build, because of their sacrifice and enabled by their sacrifice, we're going to build the platform they would have loved to have worked at the whole time. And ironically, that platform looks a whole lot more than the platform of the shoulders on which they stood, the Mal Goods and the Robert Abbotts, as you remind us, and all of the folks from the Defender and all the folks from the Courier. It looks a lot more like that independent black media that preceded them than it does being their followers in these white spaces who have to sit there and bite their lips until they can't stand it no more. And like Don Lemon turning from a courtier to power to the #1 critic because you just can't take it no more. Well, Don, you could always come to the Black Star Network, brother. But, you know, Bernie Shaw's dream wasn't for you to follow him at CNN. Bernie Shaw's dream looks a whole lot more like Roland Martin than it does Don Lemon.
The lesson learned. Queen Elizabeth, 96, Bernard Shaw, 82, David Arnold, 54. The reality. And real quick, Reese and Erica, before I go to my next guest out of South Carolina. No one knows the day, the hour, the minute, the second. So you've got to live every single moment to the fullest. As Ambassador Andrew Young always says, when he wakes up, he says, guess God ain't done with me yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I used to see David Arnold all the time at the Laugh Factory at Chocolate Sundays. I saw him out with his family once at lunch, and he was just such a great spirit. He wasn't one of those comedians that every other word was bitch this, motherfucker this, you know, that. Not that I have a problem with that, but he was just a really good stand-up guy who was really, really funny. So I just want to, you know, speak on him for a second because I've seen him so much over the years, and this is really a true tragic loss.
Erica.
Well, just I would encourage everyone to listen to that NPR interview. It's 11 minutes if you listen, or if you want to read at your leisure. But something that Mr. Shaw said throughout, and an abundance of condolences to the Arnold family and to the Shaw family, and to those people who were, you broke the news about what happened in Uvalde. What Mr. Shaw said in that NPR interview, and he kept saying, you know, and talking about success, and he said that it will cost you. It will cost you physically, it will cost you mentally, and I hope and pray that folks survive. So I think that hearing those words from somebody who was so able to reflect in such a meaningful way about what it means to trade in family for success, or to really try to balance that it definitely will cost you. So again, condolences to some wonderful people that we've lost here recently.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Can you believe the nerve of these Republicans? They only want to block progress for our community. They talk about cutting Medicare and Social Security. They played politics with veterans' health care. They voted against the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and funding for our HBCUs, and against lowering prescription drug costs for our seniors. These Republicans keep trying hard to stand in the way, but President Biden, Vice President Harris, and Democrats won't let them. They are delivering for us. The Democratic National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is RMartin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.